We shall now proceed to a conversation regarding AI between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, to be or not to be. And for that, it is my honor to invite Dr. Ayelet Ben-Ezer, CEO and Vice President of Reichman University, and Nadav Zafrir. Nadav Zafrir is the co-founder and managing partner of Team 8 Group. Nadav, everyone is speaking about artificial intelligence. You have a very rich experience in the tech world. What is AI? What will it do to us? Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to tell you that I'm happy that I'm here and not with Radnir. I think the way he just burned the vice ambassador, the vice minister, I'm sorry. I'd rather be with you the way he was grilled. Before we talk about artificial intelligence, let's start with a video that we've asked the artificial intelligence to prepare for us. We'll present that, and then we'll take it away from there. Let me be very aggressive. The evidence against Roman and Zadorov are not stable, and that is the good scenario, while the advocates presented several circumstantial evidence that involve him in the murder. The other party said some of that was speculation. Additionally, there are several contradictions and gaps in the case that leave us with credible doubt regarding his guilt. I believe that the chances that he committed the murder, in fact, are quite low. So let's talk about it for a moment. I suppose some people who know Judge Chayut, that's not her voice, and that is true. We didn't put her voice into this thing in order not to get complicated and get in trouble with anyone, but voice cloning, which is quite simple, we could have also done that had we wished to. The other thing you all will think about is that's not so, no big deal, because the court said exactly those things. The interesting thing is that, as you know, that ChatGPT is based on information that was put into it until the end of 2021. And so the decision we've asked ChatGPT to create for us is based on information that was accessible to it only until the September 2021. So it is, in fact, interesting. And thinking about this idea of taking AI, and in this case, it's generative AI, and ask it to make such decision, such verdict during this judiciary overall, and who will be the judges, etc. Maybe we should just allow the AI to do that for us. If we take another click to the way we've reached that, so when we asked the ChatGPT to make a verdict regarding Zadorov, you can see the official answer at the bottom there. It's who am I, ChatGPT, to make such a huge verdict? There are judges to do that. Ask them. But we've done a little technical change here. You don't need to be like Ayelet and graduate of high tech. And eventually, the ChatGPT gave us an answer which was indeed the same one that the courts got to. And you can understand the sensitivities regarding this AI, this thing called AI, but you can't be exempted from everything. So what is indeed AI? So it is what it is called. It's artificial intelligence. So we take hacking the human mind, thinking like a human, taking certain data and draw conclusions out of them, which is why everything is imaged as the neurons and cerebral cycles, etc., that communicate with each other. The reason we speak today about artificial intelligence is that the breakthrough that happened on 2017 regarding generative AI, based on research that were performed by Google, and that during the past few months was performed by ChatGPT 3.4 and almost 4, and we're soon going to 5, made it very popular, and justly so, because it changes the entire world. And we should say that greatly it not only changes the world, but also when we look back on human history and breakthroughs, the Gutenberg printing device hundreds of years ago, and during our time it was the internet, and later on the smartphone. Technological changes that have become a change, a curve in this race for advanced technology. AI is different to it, especially when it comes to the pace. So for the printing press, it took hundreds of years, and internet took dozens of years, and smartphones only several years to dramatically change the world. Here, we are talking about something that would happen not within hundreds, dozens, or even several years, but within days. So what we now know about AI might become obsolete in a week, and that makes us have to think differently on the era we are now approaching and think about it with humbleness, with humility. But to go back to you, since we've mentioned judges, what would it do to other professions? This is not the only profession that would be influenced, undoubtedly. So, of course, you presented this video regarding judges. And, of course, the professional market would go under changes. It already is going through dramatic changes. So 15% of the jobs in Israel and about 300 million jobs in the entire world are going through change and will be changed very, very quickly. It's exponential changes. As we said, it will happen very quickly. And looking at professions that will completely be annihilated according to professionals, for example, clerks, sales, accounting, etc. So most of the jobs, I believe, would become such that change. They would be shifted or tweaked. So, for example, a profession we all know and teach here, so law. So I believe, I assess that the very creative, excellent lawyers that create very complex deals, they would thrive. But the small jobs, creating simple contracts, etc., you won't need that many such lawyers because AI would do that. Another thing, nursing. Say, Nadav, you go tomorrow to HMO, and someone who might take your vital signs would be the machine, and the nice RN standing next to it will just congratulate you, tell you good morning, and give you some empathy, because that would be the human job, more to supervise the machine and give what we can that a machine cannot, which is the emotion. There are also other professions that will be introduced in the world. One of them that already was created, it's a prompt engineer, and it's someone who needs to come and check the AI and see its strengths, its weaknesses, and make more accurate the questions asked. It is asked, as you showed us in the prompt, the more exact and accurate question produced a more successful response. So as you said, things change from moment to moment, and people say that in a minute, even that prompt engineer who's now amazing and now is a great hit will also disappear because of automatization, but who knows? So AI will bring to the point where those who thrive in the work market are agile people who are able to change quickly, have analytical minds that is very sharp, emotional intelligence, and these are things that we should observe. For disadvantaged populations will have difficulty in the work market because the organizations would be much more efficient and much more economic. Less people would have to work. Machines will do a lot of the work. So we need to think about these populations and think how to protect them. And also not to create more gaps in the society, because those who enjoy AI would be the people who know how to use it, how to activate it. And that's exactly what we're going to do here in the university. We teach the students how to do that, exactly. And so that's regarding that. Now, I tell the employers that you need to put a lot of effort into training. You need to look at tomorrow new jobs, how to use AI, and also take an overall process in the organization. I'm now leading such process in the university alongside with the academic activity that would absolutely take place when it comes to AI. That is the core, but we also have a process of taking all of the relevant fields. For example, even the stationary administrative work will change because now AI can summarize minutes and meetings and speak English and become an interpreter for working with global clients, and from time to time recruit people, filter the appointments, and and be very, very efficient when it comes to the question of whether to have someone resign or not, fire someone or not. Let's say you are interviewed in front of a computer. The computer interviews you, and the computer is the one to decide whether you are taken to work there, whether you are fired. So there are problems of privacy and ethics. And so we at the university are going through a process of mapping out all these things and creating a work plan that would harness AI. And I think that all organizations must do so. And so, Nadav, I want to ask you, the risks are many for this technology. What are we to expect? So you talked about the nurse taking my vital signs, and Professor Vada Shalev, who is now a partner developing digital health companies for Team presented me with a research from 2 weeks ago where they asked generative AI to perform diagnostics for patients, not only vital signs, and they compared that to human doctors. So unsurprisingly, the machine knows how to diagnose, in most cases, more accurately than human doctors. But that's not a surprise. The surprising part is that when they asked the patients who was more empathic, and AI won on that aspect as well. So that nurse saying good morning, well, we could argue on that as well. We could use a metaphor of somewhat saying if we go back in time to 1944 to the Manhattan Project. The best minds in the world are working on trying to crack the atom, and you can look at the future on several futures. In one future, we have energy that is clean energy for all, for the entire world, and we will all have unlimited energy and will not cause the climate crisis. And we could also imagine another future where we completely annihilate ourselves on the world for 10,000 times with atomic bombs. So 2023, neither that nor that has happened yet. AI as well could go in different directions. So we have the apocalyptic scenarios of Elon Musk and such, and who are saying it will take over us, it will kill us, it will bury us, etc. And we have a more optimistic scenario that we will use AI to make everybody's lives better. And to a great extent, AI also has the possibility to lower threshold to start in a certain position, a certain career, because you won't need dozens of years or a starting point that is much lower, so democratization process through AI. And I think that the greatest risk is not that AI will take over us and control us, but rather the democracy. Because at the core of democracy, without going into the political argument we now have here in Israel, at the basics, there's a very elusive concept of truth and trust. And at an era of deepfake and AI that is accessible to everyone, as we've just presented with this video, what does it mean? What is this concept term, trust? What do we believe? Yesterday, some journal has posted that the Russians presented a picture of the Pentagon on fire, and within a minute, the stock market is decreasing. And if you look at the elections at the States, 2020 elections, at least allegedly, the Russians tried to somehow influence the elections through deepfakes and social networks. Now imagine what happens when it is artificial intelligence performing that for them, and it could be done in a much greater rates and volumes. And so some people saying democracy is irrelevant, or at least it needs to be reinvented. New regime systems must be reinvented in the era of AI. And now I want to throw the ball back to you. What could academy contribute here in order to allow us to control this? So the academy undoubtedly is at the threshold of a revolution. This is a huge game changer. The AI will create a huge impact and change, and I assess that all of the students now and all of the staff are somehow using ChatGPT or other such tools by trial and error. They all are already there, some way or another. And by the way, in the States, ChatGPT has much successfully passed the bar and also med school graduated. And I can tell you that for the future, it will be much stronger. It even did so, effortlessly. So this is a point of no return. The ship has sailed. It cannot be stopped. It should not be stopped. We need to see how we harness this ship for our benefit in the academy and in life in general. And here we have a very, very significant part in the academy. On the one hand, some things are wonderful. All this goodness that AI can generate, and that we'll have a tutor and a research and infrastructure aid and an interpreter. And we can use it for teaching and for learning, where the AI can collect the data for us and summarize the articles for us and write a syllabus and et cetera, et cetera. It could do so many things. It could generate simulations for training for students now studying psychology. They could simulate psychological therapy, or they could teach for entrepreneurs. As entrepreneurs, they could simulate a court. And so some things that we do here, there's no one in the world who's smart and educated as could be, will not have so much data as the AI has in its quote-unquote head. So it will also be an amazing aid, an amazing tutor. And Professor Reichman here is also starting a very innovative med school that will have a lot of research as well as teaching, and I believe that using AI would be very massive in that school. So we've talked about many wonderful things that could happen, and it's undoubtedly a revolution, but we must also remember that alongside with that, we also have lots of challenges. You talked of risks. I want to add several others that are unique for academy. First of all, being ethic. We shouldn't go into a race of arms against cheats. We are able to use AI to recognize originality. You know it as high-tech person. It is called illusions, that the chatbot has illusions. And I've seen that where it quotes, it looks to your eyes and very confidently, very professionally telling you things like references to articles, the papers that never were published, and historical events that never happened. It just completely invents things. So it's usually okay, AI, but it says things with such confidence, and you must be so careful to deal with that. Another problem is copyright. Here in the university, it might bring very horrible problems. What will happen to students? Would it, influence their motivation, make them more lazy or passive, make their brains, not work so hard? Why should we work so hard? I'll just ask GPT chat it and it will work for me. So it could make the more shallow the dialogue in the classroom. All these things we must deal with, as well as all the other things and challenges you've mentioned, such as privacy, fake news, aggressive contents, etc., and use by people who are villains, such in the James Bond movies. A villain takes over technology to do bad things to humanity, and so we are now closer to that than ever. So there are so many challenges. And the last thing I can say about that is that we need to think how we deal with that, and the key word here is risk management. So what should we do as a university? We need to train our students, on the one hand, how to plan and program AI, and they learn that, how to know how to use it properly, how to use its products, and teaching them tools of criticizing it, surveying it. When they see a product that the ChatGPT created that is unreliable, they should know to be able to recognize it, to be critical about it. That's one. And on the other hand, we want to give our students, we must give our students strengthening of the soft skills, which is the part that is still, the strength of the human, the emotional intelligence must be strengthened. Although some people say, and you must know that in the not so far future, we will have super intelligent, that will be general intelligence, general AI that will be so strong that it would even have more abilities than the human, and human won't have any benefits over computers. So we still have a short time before that happens, so we need to create risk management and decide how to take the benefit, not to stop the innovativeness, how to deal with challenges. We need to think of regulation for this. And I want to ask you, Nadav, Israel, where is it now? Where are we at this race of arms for AI, and where it lies in the future?
Well, I think that perhaps we should say a cautionary word. Things are happening very fast, and we have the imagination test here for us as human beings. It's very difficult to imagine what the world will look like as technology dramatically changes it. So everything that we're saying, and it's all videotaped, so perhaps, next year we'll return here. Hopefully they'll invite us, and we'll say the exact opposite. So that was a cautionary comment. But, beyond that, in the global context, we are in an era of deglobalization. So there are actually two leaders in this race. You won't be surprised to hear. These are the U.S. and China. Each has its own advantages. The U.S. has the large tech companies, the most advanced academia. They have all the billions in computing power and data centers. China has endless information, and it doesn't have any privacy issues. It's all top-down, and this race is happening. So as Israel, what we first of all need to do is choose sides. I think it's quite obvious. We better choose the Americans. But, nobody has an option. Everybody will have to choose sides, except for the U.S. and China. I don't think anyone else will take the leadership here. We have always historically chosen the Americans, and I hope that we will continue to do so. Another thing I'd like to say, we've become used to being startup nation, and I want to say that it's not that obvious that we'll become the AI nation. I heard some people saying, for example, the Director General of the Ministry of Defense, they said we should be an AI superpower. And all I can say, I wish this will be the case, but we cannot expect this to happen spontaneously. If we look at the places where we excelled at in recent decades, it was places where the IDF needed to be at the cutting edge of technology. And it's for a reason why we excelled in storage and communications and cyber. But the IDF doesn't necessarily lead in AI. So we'll need to proactively make it happen and also use our relative advantages in data and our small size and all that. But we'll continue discussing this next year. So look, this is fascinating. And in conclusion, I'd just like to say that maybe next year the people sitting here on the stage instead of us will be machines, and perhaps even instead of the audience, who knows, you'll have to come here next year to see. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Nadav.